Ben Domenech, editor-at-large at The Spectator. He is also, of course, a Fox News contributor. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Hugh. Good to be with you, as always.
I want to begin, Ben, by reading to you a press release that came out yesterday, I think late, from the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights. It begins, as part of the Biden-Harris administration's continued efforts to take aggressive action to address the alarming nationwide rise in reports of anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, and other forms of discrimination and harassment on college campuses and in K-12 schools since the October 7 Israel-Hamas conflict. Today, the DOE, Office of Civil Rights, released a list of the higher education and K-12 institutions under investigation for alleged shared ancestry violations. Now, they do list the schools that are being investigated, all right? And the list is, I want to make sure I give the list accurately because it's on their website. Columbia, Cornell, Lafayette College, Mays United School District, I think that's in Kansas, I'm not sure, Wellesley College, the Cooper Union Advancement of Science and Art, the University of Pennsylvania, Wilson County Schools. Now, those are all November investigations. What does that tell you, that announcement and that list?
It tells me that this administration is scared of what's going on. It doesn't know how to handle it, doesn't know what to do about it, wants to express in some way that they're doing something. But the simple reality is, and you know this, Hugh, this is a situation where the people who have been spending the last several years calling anybody who was, to the right of Mitt Romney a Nazi in America, that they have now have to confront the fact that the actual rise of anti-Semitic hate is entirely on their own side of the aisle. And this is something that you and I have observed. We've seen it. It certainly is coming from a lot of powerful people in their political hierarchy, including a lot of people who, frankly, I think they've let it get away with a lot for far too long. And then I think that there's also this increasing concern, particularly given the level of violent protests that we have seen about the upcoming year and the Chicago actual Democratic National Convention that they're going to have, and what's going to happen, when you import all of these college-aged anti-Semitic people who are going to be protesting in the streets because they're mad at Joe Biden for being insufficiently anti-Israel, and that's really what it is. They want him to be anti-Israel, and his own sort of waffling approach has left them completely dissatisfied. And I think that when you look at these institutions of higher ed, look, I've had a long, ongoing, low sort of scale argument with my wife, who's a graduate of Columbia, about whether Ivy Leagues were going to turn things around and become acceptable again to send our 3-year-old and 1-year-old to by the time that they're of that age. And I think this past month has basically won that argument for me.
You have won. You have won.
It's just the simple fact is that these institutions, are indoctrinating children, and they really are mental children, even if they are, technically adults, even if they've, passed the age of 18. These mental children with this idea that hate is something that is a good thing, that it is something that they ought to endorse, that they ought to march for it, that they ought to support it, that they ought to express those feelings on social media with regularity, and that they can feel some kind of moral high ground by doing so. It's an absolutely it is an absolutely horrendous thing to observe. It's unacceptable, and America should not support it. We should not encourage it, and we should not have our tax dollars or any kind of benefits flow to institutions that engage in this behavior.
Now, Ben, I agree with all of that. My first reaction was, how is Harvard not on this list? My second reaction is, how is Northwestern not on this list? Because I follow Guy Benson, and Guy has been reporting on that.
Northwestern should absolutely be on that list. Yeah,
right.
There's no question.
And then I am aware of the evil in the country that results in a deranged man killing a little Palestinian-American boy and almost murdering his mother. I'm aware of that Islamophobia. I am unaware of Islamophobia being a problem on any college campus, and the inclusion of I think Mays Unified School District and Wilson County Schools in this list is to somehow message that they are problems of equal weight when they are not, and that they can't find any Islamophobia on campus, so they're going to reach down and grab some K-12 schools in order to signal to their base, their AOC Rashida Tlaib base, that they're on the case and muddy the waters, when in fact the problem is 99% higher education, anti-Semitism, and I'm not falling for it, Ben, and I don't think America's going to fall for it. I think there's going to be a realignment.
America's not going to fall for it. This is absurd, both sidesism, and it is not. It is in no way equivalent in terms of the level that we see. Look, this is really. I mean, it's very clear. There's one side that is scared about going and walking to school and wearing indications of what side that they're on. There's one side that is actually scared of walking around campus. There's one side that is actually scared of simply, going and participating in the normal activities that a Jewish student would on campus, and have people be aware because of that they are of that alignment. That's the thing that I think is very clear. It's just impossible to deny, and for the left to continue to act as if there is some kind of both sides thing going on here. It's absurd, but it's also a reminder of that old Norm Macdonald tweet joke about the nuclear bomb going off in New York City and what will happen to all the peaceful Muslims after it.
Yeah,
it is an example of how fickle and how bad an alignment has been in America between Democratic politicians and liberally minded Jewish voters and donors who have frankly had a lot of friends who have served them very poorly over the years, and particularly poorly in this instance. And
I've covered earlier
people opening their eyes.
The Washington Post has a story this morning on their landing page about the plight of Gazan mothers who cannot visit their premature babies who were born and are being cared for in Israeli hospitals because they can't leave Gaza. I am sympathetic to those mothers. We had to leave a baby behind at the hospital once, and it's a very difficult thing to do. Mm-hmm. But I guess the sell-by date on sympathy stories for the dead, the wounded, the maimed, the murdered, the kidnapped has passed, right?
Yeah.
I really just wonder, in newsrooms and in the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education, do they think we're stupid?
I think they do, Hugh. I think they think that we have short memories, and that Americans will just move on. That they will just sort of decide, oh, we're not interested in this story anymore, and now we're going to find something new. And I think that they're hoping that we are. And that's not. Here's the thing: I don't think that's going to happen. And I think one of the reasons that's not going to happen is because Americans, particularly American Christians, care deeply about these issues. Obviously, I know you were at the march. I was at the march in D.C. here, and observing all the people who were there was, I think, very encouraging. But it also, I think, was a reminder.
I was just about to get to that, Ben. There were 300,000 people on the mall 2 days ago, and there's no stories on it today.
Yeah. I mean, but to me, one of those things is real life, and one of those things is invented. The real life aspect of this is that there are going to be, people who come together in their churches and synagogues this weekend who are going to be praying about this, who are going to be talking about it, and who are going to be asking each other, what can we do? How can we help? How can we lend a hand to those in need? And I think that that's the real American, tendency, and it's a very good one. It's a very uplifting one. And the falsity, you could joke about the fake news, but this really is the fake news. This is the, we are going to tell you that the time limit has been reached and we're going to move on from this story because it's uncomfortable for us, but we're not going to move on from this story, and I don't think Americans are.
I'm not. And the Orwellian aspect of the legacy media, I think it will lead to the collapse in audience for people who are not paying attention to the 95% of what Americans want. They want to know what Israel is doing. They want to know that Israel is winning, and they want to know what the hostages are, how they fare. And they're not getting it, and they're going to cancel.
This is, you're completely right, Hugh. And here's the thing. This is one of those things where you can't play this game the same way you do with other aspects of things.
Yes.
People care too much about it, and that's something that's it speaks to the special relationship that we have with Israel. It speaks to how much that is a central part of America's religious identity. And look, we are still, when you get deep down to the ground, a Judeo-Christian country, and that's a good thing.